From the Alvin and Rosalie Sarachek studio, PBS Kansas presents Ageless Enthusiasm. On this episode of Ageless Enthusiasm, I speak with two people in the beauty industry. Our first guest is Tambra Heiser of Heiser & Company, who's going to discuss natural ways for us to improve our inner beauty.
But we know that men are just as concerned as women.
Sure.
They just may not talk about it.
I also speak with Dr. Amy Sproul, a plastic surgeon, who tells us about the popular procedures for those people over 50.
People don't want to look plastic. They don't want to look fake. Nobody around here wants to look like that. People want to look like their best version of themselves.
Yeah. That's what's coming up on this episode of Ageless Enthusiasm. Welcome to Ageless Enthusiasm. I'm your host, Mindy East, and my guest today is Tambra Heiser of Tambra & Company. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so we're going to talk about how to reflect that same image that we see in the mirror. Now, you're a stylist. You do hair, makeup, skincare, and
nature photography.
Yes, you do. You do. So as far as for someone over 50, I want to get your thoughts a little bit on, tell us what we can do at home to look and feel better about our image that we want to see in the mirror.
I think one of my biggest recommendations is to start really early, to learn young that you need to take care of your skin. It's never too late. That's one of my biggest things.
So if we're over 50, it's like...
Absolutely. So what do we got to do, right? So
what do we do?
Okay. I really do recommend that you do follow a custom regimen, because if you don't get rid of those dead skin cells build up and create wrinkles. We were talking about exfoliation. Exfoliation also builds up on the skin. So if you don't get rid of wrinkles, if you don't get rid of this skin, you're building up wrinkles, and you must hydrate, moisturize, take all of the steps to create what I believe in is a natural look. You know, I believe in...
So this is for men too.
Yes.
So men don't need to get worried about the word exfoliation.
No, men do. One of the biggest things too, and I think you're going to talk about hair treatments possibly, when men wear hats, this is a really good, as I'm talking about exfoliation, men tend to get clogged pores by not paying attention to what they're doing by not letting it breathe. We were talking about the skin being the largest organ, and that when you spend time hydrating it, often it's the women that buy for the men, but we know that men are just as concerned as women.
Sure.
They just may not talk about it, or they're talking about it to the women, and we're here to help. So they need to do the same things that women do, even if it's exfoliation, taking care of the skin.
Like a
and
scrub.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm talking about the hair too, because they actually make a scalp scrub that's very gentle. And we're talking about scrubs. They cannot shred or tear the skin. Hair, scalp, there are shampoos and there are treatments that you can use to follow through that help to grow the hair.
Okay. And you mentioned a ball cap, and I know Wichita, South Central Kansas, a lot of guys wear ball caps.
Yes. This is something I've really taught a lot because they don't recognize that. And that is, again, starting early and going late. And
tie that in. I'm not quite following the ball cap wearing.
So,
not getting...
This is how I often describe it. If you want to paint something and you start with a black canvas, it is going to be very difficult to make it perfect, right? So you have to, your foundation is the most important part. Your foundation of your skin, your foundation of your scalp, your hair. Without blocking all of that. And men, they are worried about it very young, and by the time it's 50, they're very, very concerned. I do know, as you may, that there are products like Capixul that actually helps grow your hair just by adding drops of it. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do. When we're talking about the natural parts of it, there are products that you can use besides surgical treatments that really do exist for the hair. Whatever you do, whatever you put onto your skin and into your body is coming out of your scalp and your skin. So what I'm talking about with layering is there is a complex called the Cineplex complex. As you are with a cleanser that has an anti-aging product in it, you're cleansing, you've added that anti-aging product. When you are adding a toner, it also has that anti-aging product.
So it's another layer.
Creating a barrier.
Okay.
When you add moisturizer, anti-aging, eye cream, anti-aging, you're wanting to plump, you're adding hydration. Every layer of anti-aging product that you create stops all of that and keeps you plumping. So I find myself slapping eye cream right here throughout the day because it's, I mean, I really do.
We can't have too much. You know,
you cannot have too much
moisturizer.
Of the right thing.
Of the right thing. So, okay, as far as like hairstyles for men and women, is there a go-to so that you don't look like you're stuck in a certain age?
Okay, so one of my biggest things about being a hairdresser is being with someone who is knowledgeable and going, hey, I got this, what do you need? And recognizing with the lifestyle, how fast you want to do it, how much time you want to spend, because you and I, we like to spend a little time.
Yeah, me too.
And, but I also think the beauty of Kansas is that women like to be more natural too. So it's whatever style fits your lifestyle.
Okay.
For sure. But find somebody that wants to look at that face shape and go, yeah, you need this, this, and this. And if you want to hide wrinkles, thanks.
So speaking of lifestyle,
tell
us a little bit about what you do to stay happy and healthy.
One of my most favorite things is nature photography. Waking up, looking at that sunrise, and doing the same
Get some
thing.
Good energy from it.
Yes, it really helps your circadian flow. You know, when you want to really find your balance. That took a long time, and I'm still noted as the little twister because I have a lot of energy. But I think it's really important to I love nature because you can take it all in and it's more quiet. I love people, but you've got to be able to
have a boundary there, because I know as a stylist, you interact with people all the time and their energy might be a little bit different. They might come in having a bad attitude and you're touching them and there is a little bit of that transference. How do you kind of step away from that?
The most important part of this is infusing good energy into people. So you have to be able to release what is negative, that is in front of you, that is around you. Make sure that the support behind you is always good. And at 50 and over, hopefully you've figured out a lot of things.
Right.
And that the support that you have is loving and genuine and trustworthy and honest. You cannot thrive without supportive, beautiful people. And sisterhood.
Well, and I think too, as we age, you know, we want to be happy, authentic. We want to have, like you said, we want to send out those good vibes to others. And you're still raising, you've got a teenager.
Yeah, 13 years old.
And you're a single parent.
I am.
So you've had to do a lot on your own.
You know, and that's always the thing, just be driven. Never blame another. Keep going. I do that for him, for sure. I mean, he is the greatest gift I have ever. You wouldn't know about being a mother until you're a mother, right? I mean, and I didn't have him till I was 40.
Oh, wow.
So gifted in that way, and I feel like I know a lot, and so does he.
Oh, they know so much these days, they do.
But yeah, I think he's such a blessing and one of my biggest reasons for my drive, for wanting to carry on and be happy and do my best.
Be a good example.
Yeah.
Be a good
Absolutely.
example.
Be the leader.
Well, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to speak to someone who is in the plastic surgery field just to find out what some of the procedures are for people over 50. So we'll just take a quick break and we'll be right back. Now we're going to talk about plastic surgery trends. To find out if this is something that would be right for you, I have my next guest, Dr. Amy Sproul from Plastic Surgery Center here in Wichita, Kansas. Welcome, doctor.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yes, thank you for coming. I wanted to have you on so you could talk to us about your expertise. Tell us a little bit about what you do in plastic surgery for your patients.
Well, I do a full spectrum of cosmetic and reconstructive plastic surgery, and that's one of the things I love about the field. It seems like we do so many different things, but really we're taking a small set of very specialized skills and applying them all over the body, head to toe, for aesthetic and reconstructive purposes. And so it really is possible to be an expert at so many different things because it's an expert at a certain very specialized skill set. I especially enjoy cosmetic facial rejuvenation. That's one of the things I think I'm fairly well known for, is to take a face, and a lot of people will come to me and just say, what do you see? What could I do to improve? What's going to be the most impactful thing I could do? And we'll put together a plan that works well for the patient with their priorities, their budget, their time, their ability to take downtime, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And I love that in what I do, I really have no 2 days that are exactly the same. I told you this morning I've already done one procedure, and then later today I have another procedure, and they're completely different from each other, but both rewarding in different ways.
So what's popular for someone, say, over 50? What are you seeing the most of?
I would say facelifts are the most common request because
male and female?
Male and female. Men mostly want their neck done. They recognize that their neck is the structure that makes them look older or heavy, and so they feel like a facelift is maybe a little too feminine, too girly. So they'll address their strong jawline, strong neckline. Women, necks are very common, but women tend to recognize that if their neck is looking aged, that their face probably would look best if rejuvenated in the same way. For people that feel like a facelift is just a little bit too much for them to take on, I think eyes are a fantastic place to start because you can deliver so much impact with rejuvenating the eyes, and it's relatively low risk, low downtime. It's a very focused procedure that delivers a lot of impact.
Right. Well, and I was surprised that I had no pain. There was no discomfort, you know?
Well, and I can't say that that's true for everybody, but we do really go the extra mile to make sure that the surgical experience is as comfortable as possible. Minimally invasive procedures are popular because they are relatively low pain, low downtime. They're uncomfortable but not painful.
Now, you mentioned that your procedure that you did this morning was on someone's beard.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that with hair restoration and, you know, to fill in a patchy beard.
So we have partnered with a company called Hair by Robotics, and we work with them to do hair transplant, hair restoration, and mostly it's scalp restoration, oftentimes on the typical male back of the head area, but oftentimes the hairline where the hair has receded. And occasionally, if the beard or mustache shows patchy hair loss, that becomes a great place. They're actually very fun procedures because there's a little more artistry involved in shaping and creating exactly what the patient wants.
And you mentioned Hollywood a minute ago. Do you think that's where we're at as far as it's more acceptable and more talked about than, like when my mom was, her friends, they were all hush hush or going out of town. But here you can do everything. And do you think the Kardashians have ushered this in?
I do think TV and Hollywood have made it more mainstream, but even more than that, I think it's social media. I think young people are all about social media, and it's not even just young people, but people in general are all over social media, and they see how prevalent it is, across all ages and all kinds of procedures. And it's not just in Hollywood anymore. I think the perception used to be that plastic surgery was something reserved for the rich or famous, coast, East Coast, West Coast. But plastic surgery is alive and well here in the Midwest and in Wichita, Kansas in particular. It's very popular. It's very mainstream. I think most people know someone who has had something done. They may not know that what they've had done or know that the person's had it done, but it's very popular. At the Plastic Surgery Center, we deliver so many different services to accommodate the requests that we see. We have everything from varicose vein therapy to weight loss services to cosmetic injectables and laser treatments, and then more traditional full spectrum aesthetic and reconstructive surgery. We really try to be all things to all of the people that come our way, and try to make it clear that it's not just in Hollywood where you can get those things done. You can get a very quality procedure done right here, and by having your surgery here locally, you're going to get the support and follow-up that you need. There has been also, I think, promoted by social media, a trend for people to go down to Mexico, for example, to have their procedure done, to save a little money. And sometimes it works out well. And so I don't mean to speak badly of that experience, but we do see people who things happen sometimes. They have complications and they have no support because they're now away from where they had their procedure done. And so we end up taking care of the complications, but oftentimes the results have not been delivered in the way that the patient wanted. And so they end up redoing it here in the United States. And so they've saved money going down to Mexico, but then they're spending every bit as much and more right here. So I think investing in yourself and not cutting corners on things like that is really important.
So when someone looks in the mirror and they think, okay, I don't match my reflection, that's when they need to come to you. And do you ever have a candidate that you think, oh gosh, this person isn't a candidate for a haircut, much less a procedure, but that's how you help manage their expectations?
Yes, I think when you no longer look the way that you feel inside, it's time to talk with your local plastic surgeon. I think that's where we can really help, because so many of us, I mean, I feel 27 on the inside, but I'm no longer projecting quite 27, but I do try to maintain an external appearance that matches my youthful interior. And I think that through plastic surgery, we can help your external projection meet your energy, your health, your wellness. People are taking better care of themselves, living longer, and so I think it is increasingly common to be healthy and well and feel a whole lot younger than you look.
Well, so that's what being youthful and having ageless enthusiasm is all about. It's it's just, matching that, who you are, who you feel you are on the inside.
Yes, and the longer we live, that mismatch gets greater and greater, and that's where plastic surgery can really be helpful.
Right. And some procedures are covered by insurance?
Yes, we do have some procedures covered by insurance. For example, breast reduction. That's a procedure that's both functional and aesthetic.
And sometimes eyes.
And eyes oftentimes get so bad that you can't see properly. So insurance will help with that sometimes.
So doctor, you mentioned follow-up, and I know you want that patient experience to be well-rounded.
I look at all of my patient relationships as potential for long-term. I'm a partner in any patient's aging process. I can think of several people who I saw maybe after they had babies and they were looking to get their body back or their breasts back to where they started before babies. A mommy makeover. And I'm very well known for that procedure. But then I've been in practice now long enough that I'm starting to see some of those people back because their face is looking a little older or their eyelids are starting to look a little older than they would like. And so I haven't been at it quite long enough that I'm seeing people having their children old enough to be having
do you do a grandmother makeover?
Actually, yes, we do have some granny makeovers. But I love, I see a lot of people who are getting ready for their daughter's wedding or something like that.
And the key to that isn't looking like you've had something done, but just looking like you're happy and refreshed.
Yes, I think that's one of the misunderstandings about plastic surgery. People don't want to look plastic. They don't want to look fake. Nobody around here wants to look like that. People want to look like their best version of themselves. And our website is full of examples of people who look just like their best version of themselves. When you look at someone who's had plastic surgery, you shouldn't be able to tell that they've had something done. You should be able to just tell that they look great. And that's what I strive for in every procedure. And I think that we accomplish that.
I do too.
The vast majority of the time.
I do too. I'm a very satisfied patient.
I'm so glad.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate you being my guest, and we'll look forward to seeing you sometime in the future.
Thank you for having me. Always fun to be here.
Now we're back again with Tambra. Tambra, I know that you suffered a loss at a very early age. You were 13 and she was only 32. So you really missed out a lot on having that mentor of a mother growing up.
Yes.
But you found one here in Wichita, a mutual friend of ours.
I did, yes.
Not that she's older. She's not older.
Oh, I
but-
think we're all just right in
Yeah,
there. So
yeah. But Robin Wolf
Yes,
is
Robin
very
Wolf.
well known in our community.
a
And
completely positive light.
Yes.
So when I was 19, I actually, that was my first job. I worked somewhere before that for 3 months with a big fish on the wall, and I said, Robin, please come save me. But through that time, the 9 years that I was with her, she has so much light that she taught me so much. And she really taught me how to grow. Education is power, girl power. She always encouraged. I mean, there was nothing more that she wanted, just like I do, than to help women grow. That is really, truly my entire being, is to watch people
thrive.
Yes,
Thrive.
and
Just- yeah.
giving is so much greater than receiving.
It is.
And when you do that, it all kind of comes back to you, you know. And so yes, she has given me so much, and we're still to this day. Even after I started my salon, I cried a year later. I'm like, why'd you let me do this? And she said, I was never going to stop you from your dream, you know. And I'm like, oh, you're so awesome. So I mean, even from taking some of the hardest times and knowing my mom carried the light too. I didn't even know she had bone and breast cancer, and she never acted very sick until the very end. She was always just happy, happy, and knew that the world was gonna, you know, cure her. So I watched all of that. But throughout time, you have to spend time with people that carry that support.
And your faith is very important.
Oh my
to you.
goodness. And that grew
Where
a
would
lot
we
stronger.
be without faith? Yeah.
I don't know if anywhere.
Yeah.
I feel like that's part of the lost world, is that you have to really believe, no matter what journey you're taking,
Right.
that he is
Right.
walking with you,
Right.
and choose the right people to walk with.
True. And if you aren't surrounded by good, supportive people, you can graciously remove yourself from that circle,
Yes,
because otherwise they're just going to drag you down.
right. And I think that's something we've learned a lot throughout time. So that is definitely what happens over the age of 50, because
Yeah.
every day you don't know. Tomorrow could be your last. So you have to live it full and with people who just inspire you always and grow, because we can always grow.
Fill you up rather than drain you.
Yes.
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 What does it mean if I say stay in your lane? Do you have an answer to that?
That's interesting, because I think I was taught that this year. Staying in your lane is keeping your eye on the prize of what you are driven for, what you want. Staying focused on that, because what everybody else is doing is not your thing.
Right.
And judgment is for Jesus. So I'm just going to keep on going this way. And
that.
You can't fix others around you, but if others that value you and share those dreams, then your lane is your lane, and you just keep going. Everyone's with you, you know. And if they're like you and me, the lane we might be next to each other, and we're off.
Yeah.
You know, because we're actually sharing that time. But yeah, as far as the lane goes, because I'm thinking about the race.
Oh. Yeah. Well, and you're moving in a
But
forward
just-
progression.
Yes, that's exactly
Always
what I
moving
mean.
above and beyond.
Towards the finish.
There you go. We're all going that way.
That's
We're all
exactly.
going that way. Well, I appreciate your time today, and thank you for sharing with us, whether it is doing a natural approach or doing something with a procedure. It's whatever is best for that person, right?
Absolutely. It's just about filling their heart with love, sunshine. When you make them feel good, because we talked about that, when the outer part of you feels good, the inner part even can feel better, right? I mean, when you start to, my gift, I think, is to make people feel good. And while they're talking to me, infusing that positiveness, so that all of it, when they're leaving, they're super happy.
Yeah, like
You
a
know?
starburst.
Yeah, like a starburst.
Tamara, thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Mindy.
You were a delight to be on my show today. Thank you.
I feel very blessed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for joining us today on Ageless Enthusiasm. I'm your host, Mindy East, and we'll see you next time.